Hello, YouTube. All right. I wanted to give you guys a quick heads up as to a special treat that I'm going to be sharing with you. About a year ago, for those of you who've been following the channel, you'll know that I was actually working at Walmart. I got a job at Walmart and was all excited and stuff until I saw that they were cutting my hours down to as low as like 12 hours a week or less, which is nowhere near enough to even cover child support or much less to live on, considering it was costing me money to get to work and buy food and stuff, just to keep working. So I was basically working to pay for working, and had issues with that guy with mental issues. So I ended up leaving, okay, because there was just too many issues. Those of you who work at Walmart, have worked at Walmart, you know what it's like. It's changed a lot over the last 10, 20 years. I had worked with Walmart like 12 years ago, and it was different than it is now. Nowadays, they pretty much don't have any full-time people. They're getting rid of all their full-time, and they want you on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you could end up working 4 hours for the entire week. Pretty much, So, or they could have you work up to like 40 hours a week and keep you going up to 3 months, but they will stop it before you hit the 12-week point, because then they have to hire you full-time, which they won't do. They'll cut you back down to 6 hours or 8 hours for the entire week or whatever. But that seems to be their policy now, which is one of the reasons I left, amongst a whole bunch of other issues. I would have stayed, was content with the job, but had that issue with the guy with the psychological problems that I decided I didn't want to deal with. So I left. But long story short, if you'll recall what was going on at the time, there was actually an issue with the state of Florida and Department of Revenue trying to suspend my driver's license. Yeah. So what they were doing was threatening to suspend my license because I had fallen behind on arrears again, and that was a concern. So I didn't know what the future held. I did know this, that the possibility of getting the license suspended was real, and if they did that, my ability to work would drop to pretty much zero, other than YouTube, and that's if I could even do anything, which meant YouTube could have potentially disappeared. Because to do YouTube, I have to have internet access, and that was about to go away, because realistically, if they took my driver's license, the police would eventually try to get me for driving without a license. And if I lived without the license, you can't have the car parked somewhere. The police would come and tow it away. The city does. That's how they get you. So I formulated a plan, which was a plan that had kind of came into play when we first started building Yurt 1.0 and Yurt 2.0 at the compound. So that was done kind of as an experiment, as well as to produce content for YouTube. But it was, for me, a chance to basically test out some ideas and try my hand at construction to see what could be done on a limited budget. And I, believe it or not, learned quite a lot from that experience. So much so that when I was working at Walmart, I decided to build myself a backup plan. And what the plan was to build a structure somewhere in the woods where I could live conceivably completely off-grid. And not only that, I could use it as a home base and use it as a place for my family to come visit me. When I had my children or my wife, and we would live together. We weren't living there full time, just me pretty much. But the family could use it as a house where we could have meals together around a table, where we could cook food, where we could sit in a hammock and relax. And what resulted in all that was a major construction project that I kind of built by hand using existing tools, which meant nothing. We didn't really have many tools with us at the time, other than the chainsaw that I had bought for cutting down Walter's tree. So basically, I used a chainsaw as my main tool and decided I would build, instead of using scraps, and previously, which made it kind of hard, or using frond leaves and frond branches and things like that, I would try to use real wood, because I saw how using the wood for the yurt structure was actually pretty cool. It was a lot more sturdy than the frond branches, which surprisingly worked fairly well, using frond branches and zip ties, and also some duct tape. But I decided that I would go ahead and build, purchasing real materials. The problem with purchasing real materials is this: if you've looked into building a house or anything, then you know that wood can be very expensive. And somebody said, well, you could use pallets and stuff. Yeah, but you got to have enough of them. And if you don't have a place to store the pallets to build up the resources, you're kind of screwed. And even just finding the pallets and stuff, they're kind of broken. They're not all the same. There's all sorts of issues. You could get the pallets. If I had the time and the luxury of building a pallet house, that may happen in the future, as a project. But for something that could be built pretty much within the timeline to build it that I had set for myself was about 1 or 2 weeks, maybe a month at the most, to have it totally finished. And I was going to build a tiny house, and I decided to. What I did was I took some of the money from Walmart, my earnings, and started to set aside a little bit to buy supplies. So I was buying nails, screws, and wood. But if you try to use traditional wood, lumber, and stuff for construction, they tend to be priced kind of high. But if you can see that wood is wood, your flexibility becomes much, much more open. You're able to use wood as wood and not say, well, this piece of wood was not intended for this. And I know there were some dangers in using the wood that I used, because what I did, instead of using pylons, whatever, for the bottom. See, what we learned from the yurt construction was that the ground in Florida can flood. And you really don't want a structure sitting directly on the ground. Ideally, you have it raised. I've been looking at cracker houses and stuff at Fort Christmas and seeing that they actually had it raised pretty high. Usually about, 1.5 to 2 feet up above the ground. Now, that would cost a lot for me, because I would have to get long pieces of wood or whatever and raise up like the pylons here. And I didn't have the tools for that, nor the funding. But I knew that if I just raised it up off the ground, the chance of the structure surviving, Florida rains and stuff, improves immensely. So that was a priority, and I ended up using you know what? Rather than tell you guys about it, I should let you watch the videos. So I'm not going to explain the building process, because you get to see the building process, all the little video segments that were made to show you how we went from an idea to an actual structure. And the reason I'm bringing it all up right now is some of you are going to see some, quote, luxurious items that I'm going to be using inside Good Enough. And you'll be like, how the heck did he get that? I thought he was broke. Well, it turns out that I had already pre-bought some of this stuff, and it was actually being used, or being used pretty much, at the Hut 2.0. I found it interesting that when I mentioned Hut 2.0, viewers didn't even know, or question that it was Hut 2.0 and not Yurt 2.0, because it would be Yurt 3.0. And Hut 2.0 meant that the original hut at Camp Freedom 1 was destroyed and a new hut had been put up. So I had dropped that little clue, that little hint, a couple weeks ago, but nobody picked it up, that when I'm talking about Hut 2.0, I'm talking about something you haven't seen before. Yeah. You know, just as Batman has a bat cave, Denoy the Van Man had a van cave. So stay tuned for those videos. The series are gonna run. I'll just run them whenever, but I'll try to start after this video so you get at least a little intro so you'll know what's going on. I'm still working on Good Enough, the RV, but thought it would be worth taking a break to watch the construction of Hut 2.0. And the reason we're taking a break from the renovations for Good Enough is that we are pretty much out of funds. As you know, the whole RV was bought through funds provided by viewers and contributors and just strangers who wanted to contribute to getting Denoy a new home, which you have done. The concern right now is there isn't enough money to completely finish the project, so I've been doing a little bit at a time as I've been earning some money from my new job, as well as continued contributions for those who are donating to the GoFundMe or to go to PayPal, just to give me some more money to work on the project. So I do appreciate all those donations. Thank you so much. I am saving up whatever money I can raise from YouTube as well as my job to put into the project. But the whole idea for doing Good Enough is not to spend a lot of money, but to spend a minimal amount of money and still have something much better than Hut 2.0. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for your kindness, your support, your words of wisdom, and your encouragement. For those of you who are negative, you might want to look at your situation and to try to figure out why you're so negative about life. If that's how you go about living your life, it's kind of sad. I do allow some, constructive criticisms and things like that, but when you start personally attacking people, me basically, or anyone else, I'm sorry, I've got to remove you. And I do and will remove basically trolls and troublemakers and whatnot. So keep that in mind as you're making your comments. And look forward to these upcoming videos on Hut 2.0. Until next time, everyone, take care. I wonder if the squirrel knows I'm following you. Yeah. It's like, oh no, he's following me. I better hide behind the side of the tree. All right, I'm going to sign out. Thank you for tuning in. Look forward to Hut 2.0 construction. If you want to contribute to the fund to continue working on Good Enough, the RV, please feel free to hit the button on the banner for the slushy fund. That'll go directly to PayPal. Or if you want to contribute through Patreon, the link should be in the About, section of the video. There should be a link for Patreon on there, so you can contribute through Patreon. Keep in mind, Patreon does keep some of the money, whereas if you go through PayPal, the slushy fund, if you have a PayPal account, PayPal actually gives you like 100% access to the money that's contributed. So until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Please stay safe and enjoy nature wherever you are. Oh, did you see that jump? Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.